The man stood at the edge of the glossy showroom floor with a tired jacket pulled tight around his shoulders, his eyes fixed on the polished cars he knew he could barely afford, when a single humiliating moment would quietly test how much dignity a person could lose in one afternoon. He had walked in hoping for a chance, not charity, but within minutes the weight of judgment pressed down on him harder than any battlefield memory he carried, and he had no idea that the building he was being pushed out of was owned by the very life he once pulled back from the edge of death. Before the story goes any further, take a moment and support channel name. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one good act can echo years later, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. He was a single father named Daniel, a military veteran whose posture still carried discipline even after years of struggle had softened everything else. Life after service had not unfolded the way he imagined when he came home with medals packed away in a drawer and a promise to his late wife that their son would grow up safe. The war had ended, but the battles did not. Medical bills, long nights of work that barely covered rent, and the constant responsibility of being both mother and father carved deep lines into his face. The old sedan he drove rattled with every mile, threatening to die completely at any moment, and that day he had finally gathered the courage to step into a car dealership, hoping to find something reliable enough to get him to work and his son to school. The dealership was bright, clean, and intimidating, filled with quiet confidence and the unspoken assumption that everyone inside belonged there. Daniel moved carefully, reading price tags, calculating numbers in his head, reminding himself that asking questions did not make him weak. But the manager noticed him almost immediately. The manager saw worn boots, a jacket that had seen better years, and a man who did not look like a profitable customer. Without learning his story, without asking his name, the manager decided Daniel did not fit the image of the showroom. What followed was not loud or dramatic, but it cut deeply. Daniel was told that the dealership was not the right place for him, that financing would not be possible, and that he should try somewhere else. The words were wrapped in professionalism, but the message was clear: leave. As Daniel walked out, shame burned hotter than anger. He had faced gunfire, loss, and grief, but being dismissed as unworthy stung in a different way. Outside, he sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, fighting the familiar heaviness in his chest. He thought of his son waiting at home, trusting him to always find a way. He thought of the promise he made after the funeral, that no matter how hard things became, he would not give up. So he breathed, wiped his face, and drove away, unaware that this moment had set something far larger in motion. What no one in that dealership knew was that Daniel carried a past that connected him directly to the owner of the company. Years earlier, during his service, Daniel had been part of a rescue operation overseas. Amid chaos and smoke, he had pulled a wounded civilian from a burning vehicle, shielding him with his own body as explosions echoed around them. Daniel never learned much about the man he saved. He only knew that the man survived. Daniel went back to his unit, then eventually back home, adding that moment to the quiet list of things he never spoke about. The owner of the dealership, a man named Robert, had built his business from nothing. What very few people knew was that his success came after a near-death experience during a humanitarian trip years ago. That day, trapped and injured, he had felt his life slipping away until a soldier appeared through the smoke, refusing to let him die. That soldier's face, calm and determined despite the danger, had stayed with him forever. It became the reason Robert promised himself that if he survived, he would build a life that valued people over profit. Time passed after Daniel was turned away. Bills piled up. His car finally gave out, leaving him juggling rides and walking long distances to keep his job. He never complained in front of his son, choosing instead to smile and turn hardship into lessons about resilience. Meanwhile, at the dealership, a routine internal review brought unexpected attention. Robert had begun spending more time on the floor, wanting to reconnect with the heart of his business. He noticed customer complaints, including one about how a veteran had been treated. The word veteran struck something deep in him. Robert asked for details. Security footage was reviewed. He watched Daniel enter the showroom, saw the manager's dismissive body language, and felt a strange pull he could not explain. When the footage paused on Daniel's face, Robert's breath caught. The years had passed, the uniform was gone, but the eyes were unmistakable. This was the man who had saved his life. The realization hit Robert with overwhelming force. Gratitude, guilt, and disbelief crashed together. He learned everything he could about Daniel in a short time. He learned about his service, his family, his struggles, and how quietly he carried his burdens. Robert realized that the values he claimed to stand for had been violated in his own building, against the very person who gave him a future. Robert did not hesitate. He addressed the issue immediately, making it clear that respect was not optional in his company. But more importantly, he set out to find Daniel, not as a wealthy owner offering charity, but as a man seeking to repay a debt that could never truly be repaid. When Daniel received a call asking him to return to the dealership, he almost ignored it, assuming it was a mistake or another disappointment waiting to happen. But something told him to go. He arrived guarded, expecting nothing. Instead, he was met with warmth, patience, and sincerity. Robert revealed the truth, sharing how years ago, a soldier had given him life when he had none left. He explained that soldier was Daniel. The weight of that moment was heavy and quiet. Daniel did not see himself as a hero. He never had. He simply did what needed to be done. But hearing how that single act had changed another man's entire life shifted something inside him. For the first time in years, he felt seen not as a problem, but as a person of worth. Robert insisted on helping, not out of pity, but respect. He offered Daniel fair options, reliable transportation, and flexibility that honored his responsibilities as a father. More than that, he offered friendship and acknowledgement. Daniel accepted, not because he was desperate, but because he trusted the sincerity behind it. Life did not magically become perfect. Struggles did not vanish overnight. But things began to change. Daniel's confidence returned. His son saw hope reflected in his father's eyes again. The weight Daniel carried became lighter, shared now by someone who understood the cost of survival and the power of gratitude. The dealership changed too. Robert used the story, without exploiting it, to remind his staff that every person walking through the door carried a story invisible to the eye. Policies shifted. Attitudes softened. Kindness became a standard, not an exception. Near the end of this journey, if this story has moved you, if it has reminded you that quiet strength often goes unnoticed, please support channel name. Like this video, share it with others, subscribe, and let your engagement help spread stories that restore faith in humanity. Before the final moments, we have a special request. Please comment below and share what this story made you feel, or a time when kindness changed your life. Your words matter more than you know. Daniel never asked for recognition. He never expected his past to return with answers. But life has a way of circling back, of honoring goodness in its own time. The day he was pushed out of that dealership felt like a breaking point, yet it became the doorway to healing, proof that dignity can be restored, and that one selfless act, done in the darkest moment, can one day shine light into an entirely different life.